What is going on, everybody? It is your pal Tunnel Muck here, and today I'm finally back with a new video. I know it's been a little while. I apologize. There's been some stuff going on in my personal life, but we are back. So today we are going to be jumping into the trade deadline, my thoughts, my opinions on how the trade deadline went for the Vancouver Canucks and other teams, to be honest, because I want to dive into, maybe a little bit more about Toronto, that kind of thing. I'm going to start the video off, though. I know I've been saying this for a while, that I was going to show you guys some hockey cards that I have, and I got to give a big shout out to my girlfriend's dad for this. He has gotten me both these cards, one for Christmas and one for my birthday. So I am going to start with the rookie card of Elias Pettersson that I have. So this is it. It is graded, the glare, 9.5. As you can see, very beautiful card. It's honestly one of my favorites that I have ever had. These are my first two ever graded cards. This is the other one that I have, Elias Pettersson Young Guns. This one is graded at a 9.5 as well. So those are just kind of two cards that I just kind of wanted to show you guys at the beginning of the video. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of this video, and let's start talking about the trade deadline. So going into the trade deadline, there were high hopes from Vancouver fans that this rebuild was going to be taken very seriously and that there were going to be some big trades. And we did see some big trades, but honestly, not really what we were expecting. So the first trade that we had to begin the trade deadline was Connor Garland went to the Columbus Blue Jackets for a second and a third round pick. Honestly, not too bad. I feel like we should have retained some sort of player or asset for Garland, but I understand that we are wanting to go for young prospects. So draft picks really isn't too bad, and I think honestly that isn't too bad value for Garland for a second and a third, and I think that he'll really flourish in Columbus. This one, though, I mean, we got Reichel to Boston for a 6th round pick. Say what you want, but a 6th round pick, I don't think it's going to bring us a prospect that is going to do too much in the years to come. Obviously, Vancouver should be looking for 1st, 2nd, 3rd round picks. We want guys that we are going to be able to develop quickly, because if we're going into rebuild and we're looking for young players, you want young players that are as close to ready to play in the NHL as possible. And I think a 6th round, once you get into those later rounds, you're really looking for guys to play in the AHL at that point, so to go play for Abbotsford. And Reichel's 6th round pick, I don't think that's going to do much for Vancouver. I understand he had a rough start in Vancouver. He didn't perform the way at all that anybody had expected. He underperformed in Vancouver. So I think Vancouver was more so looking to just offload him because he didn't work out. And I hope he does good in, where he went. I hope he does good in Boston. Boston has not too bad of a team. They're doing okay. Boston isn't what they used to be, though. But at least Vancouver was able to offload him and send him somewhere and not have to worry about paying him. It kind of frees up just a little bit of cap space. I don't remember what his salary was, but I know it wasn't too big because he didn't play with the main squad too much. He had a few games here and there, but overall he didn't perform to what Vancouver had expected from him when they picked him up. So he was, nah. But we got a 6th round pick for him, so that will at least bring somebody to Abbotsford. Then we also got David Kampf. This one, I know there's mixed feelings about Kampf. I thought he was a decent player on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Obviously, he did not perform in Vancouver. I don't know if that's what it was because of. I don't think Vancouver was really his fit. I kind of questioned it when they picked him up, whether Kampf was going to work for this team. And I think him going to the Capitals was probably for the best. We kind of picked him up from Toronto, and I didn't really have high expectations about Camp coming to Vancouver, and it kind of showed. They kept him for a little while and then traded him to the Caps. So in terms of how I think we did, I think that obviously we could have done a little bit more. DeBrusk was in talks about being traded. There was talks about Pettersson. Obviously, I didn't really think that we were going to trade Pettersson at the trade deadline. I feel like that will be something that if it does happen, this is going to happen in the offseason. This isn't something that Vancouver is going to worry about at trade deadline. I feel like they're just going to let him ride out the rest of the season in Vancouver. And in the offseason, there'll be a decision made of whether he stays or, they move on from him. Obviously, we're trying to really build around Boom. You got the young defenseman Elias Pettersson. You got Ratu Atu. You got O'Connor Carlson. I'm really surprised that Bluger didn't go, but that is another one that I think will go in the offseason. I think this will be Teddy Bluger's last season with the Canucks. I feel like Kane will also go. My opinion on Kane, and I want to preference this by saying that I think Kane is a decent player. He is one of those players that you're not really looking for points, but you're looking for the aggression from Kane. Kane is a fighter. Kane is pretty good on the puck. He's pretty good with his passing. He does have a few goals this year, but the market I don't think is big for Kane right now, and I don't think it's Kane's fault, but this isn't a player that a lot of teams are really looking for at the current moment, and at the trade deadline is going to be a lot harder to get rid of him than, say, if we waited till the offseason and then we see what teams are looking for then. I think there'd be more teams in the market come the offseason looking to pick up Kane. But I kind of had a feeling like at the trade deadline, we were not going to see a move that involved Kane. He did not play last night. He did sit last night, but no trade ended up coming to fruition. So I do believe that he will be in the lineup tonight against Winnipeg. Hoglander, obviously, I don't know. I don't think he's going to go. I'd really like to see Hoglander stay. I'm a big Hoggy fan. I think he's another player that you could really build this team around. Same with Ogren. Another young guy that I think Vancouver is going to stick with and try to build a team around. And the big talking point is Besser. Obviously, Besser and Garland signed pretty much the same contract. Besser is signed to another 6 years after this season with Vancouver. Whether he stays or not, I don't know. He has a no-trade move clause after the season, going into his new contract that starts next year. So Besser will have a lot more control after this year on where he ends up, and I feel like that will play a factor into kind of where he goes. Whether Besser asks for a trade or not is kind of up in the air to me, because when we're talking about Besser, you got to remember that he stayed pretty much purely because Garland re-signed. There were big talks in the offseason that Besser was going to leave and he was not going to return. But then we seen Garland sign and Besser signed pretty much right after. So I feel like there was a commitment by these guys to decide, you know what, we're going to stay in Vancouver and we're going to stick it out with this team, and we want to be where we were back when we made the playoffs and we were facing Edmonton and in the second round, and we're going to be that team again. And the season started rough. Obviously, that did not come to fruition. We're not making the playoffs this year. That's kind of the reality of it. We're not going for playoff. We're tanking in hopes that we get the first overall pick and we get to pick up McKenna. So If he goes or not, I'm not really sure. It's going to be more difficult to get rid of him now, especially because his new contract comes into effect as of July 1st. He is on a 6-year contract. Maybe the end of the season they could try to get something for him, but I don't see Besser leaving the Canucks, at least in the near future. You know, it's a tough one because with Garland already gone, I do see Besser asking for a trade and wanting to get out of Vancouver. Well, he has the ability to, and I feel like with the no move clause, it's just going to make it more difficult for the Canucks. We should have got rid of him this year when we were able to more so control what we would get in return for him, but nothing came to fruition. So we have him and Pettersson for the remainder of the season, and then we will see after this season what happens with those two. The other team that I want to talk a little bit about is the Toronto Maple Leafs and some of the trades that they also made, because Vancouver done a little bit, but so did Toronto, and I kind of want to talk about it and give my thoughts. And if you guys want to hear another side of the Toronto thoughts, make sure you guys go check out Maple Leafs on the Man Advantage. He is one of my good friends. We are actually going to be going to watch the hockey game with him tonight, Tampa versus Toronto. We're going to be going out and having a few drinks and watching the game. So I want to talk a little bit about the Leafs and kind of my opinion on them and what I think is kind of happening in Toronto. So there's one trade in particular that I would like to discuss. That is, we have Bobby McMann to Seattle for a 27 conditional second round pick and a 28 fourth round pick. Now, the value is okay, but I don't understand why you get rid of Bobby McMann. I think he is one of the better players in Toronto, and I feel like, he's one of the guys that you should have kept. Okay, I get it. You send Lawton to LA, okay? You got Lawton going to LA for a third round pick. Getting rid of Lawton is one of those, if you were going to get rid of somebody and you're going to get rid of Lawton, okay, we can live with that. I do think that Lawton is a good player. I have nothing against Lawton. I think he is an amazing player, and I just think it took him a while to find his spot in Toronto, but once he found it, I thought he was really good for the Leafs. And then to go out and trade him and McMahon, I don't think that's where your problems are in Toronto. I don't think that your problem is McMahon. I don't think that your problem is Lawton. I think your problem is more still in the core. And we've seen this ever since Matthews got injured. Ever since Marner got traded. I mean, you got Nylander pretty much being the heart and the soul of the team. Matthews looks like he's given up. Marner went to Vegas. I don't think your problem should be these guys. I don't think that getting rid of McMahon, getting rid of Lawton is going to fix anything in Toronto. Whether you're just trying to get picks or you're, because you traded away all your picks last year for these guys. Not McMahon, but Lawton. Like, he came in and you're giving away picks, and now you're trying to recoup picks because, at the starting of the year, you had no picks in the first round for the upcoming draft. So, when you look at it and you're thinking, well, why would they get rid of, Lawton and these guys? Because they had no picks, because they used all their picks picking these guys up. And they traded them all away, and now they're trying to get picks back because they're in a similar, not the exact same, but a similar position to Vancouver, where you have these veteran guys that just don't seem like they have the drive anymore. Like they've lost faith in the team. You see it with Matthews. I don't think Matthews wants to be a Leaf anymore. I don't think Matthews is committed to the team. I think Matthews is really looking for a way out. I think Matthews wants to be traded, and you see it. You see it in almost every game that they play. Matthews hasn't been there this season. Matthews hasn't shown up for the Leafs. So in trading Lawton and these guys, I don't think you're fixing the problem on the team. I think you're trying to put a temporary fix that isn't going to work, because that's not where the problem is. But you're trying to now bring people in, younger people. You got Cowan, who hopefully the Leafs stop mismanaging and not sit him for games and games and games on end. And the whole Olympic break, he wasn't able to go play with the AHL team. He wasn't able to go play with the Marlies. He didn't play any hockey. And then, you bring him back and you throw him in a game, and that's not managing your, prospects correctly. Like, he didn't play that much before the Olympic break. He was just sitting. And I don't agree with that. I understand that he was still practicing, but practicing isn't getting the NHL experience in a game. And when you sit a player for that long, I don't know. I don't agree with it. I think they're mismanaging Cowan. And I think looking for picks is great, but if you can't manage your prospects properly, they're not going to end up staying in Toronto anyways. And when you have these veteran guys that have pretty much looked like they have given up, and they're supposed to mentor these guys into Toronto and build them to be these great teams. And I just don't see how it's going to work for Toronto. Hopefully the draft and everything works out good for them and they can get some good picks. I just think there's been some mismanaging of Cowan. I think that, they didn't do enough trading yesterday. I don't agree with the McMahon trade. I think trading McMahon was a bad idea. And that is the one that I am, frankly, the most disappointed about when it comes to Toronto, is trading McMahon. I think McMahon should have stayed. I think Lawton deserved a spot too, but out of all the trades that Toronto did, I definitely feel like McMahon did not deserve to be traded, and I feel like he could have stayed. They didn't, but, it is what it is. And then you got, Nicholas Roy. He goes to Colorado. Colorado also picks up Calgary from Calgary. So now, they're stacked. That's going to be a Stanley Cup team. You got Colorado now. You got McKinnon, Roy, and you got Calgary. Calgary's already been on the team, but they're back together. They're reunited. They're definitely going for a Stanley Cup this year. It is going to be a wild series, a wild playoffs, and I am honestly super excited. I know the Canucks aren't going to be in, but I'm super excited to see how these playoffs work out, who ends up winning it, because I really do think it'll be Colorado, and you guys hold me to that. But I am really rooting for all the Canadian teams that are looking at going in, which is pretty much Ottawa, Edmonton, and Montreal are the ones that have a chance to get in. So I'm really excited to watch these teams. And, I'm slightly wanting to cheer for San Jose. I'm really liking watching Celebrini. And I think that is just going to be one amazing guy to watch in the future. But if you guys did enjoy this video and you guys want to see more videos just like this one, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. Leave a comment down in the comments down below. Let me know what your thoughts are about the trade deadline. If you agree or disagree with me, I love talking hockey. So if you got some different opinions, I'd love to hear them. So just make sure you leave them down in the comments there below, and I will do my best to respond to you. The other thing is I want you guys to make sure that you guys definitely go and check out my friend Maple Leafs on the Man Advantage for a little bit more of a Leafs point of view. Obviously, here you're going to get Canucks. I'm old Canucks. I love the Canucks, and I love talking news about the Canucks, trades, anything. And I know it's been a tough year for us Canuck fans, so make sure that you guys go support another team that's having a tough year, and go check out my friend, the Maple Leafs on the Man Advantage. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Like I said, if you did, smash that thumbs up button, leave a comment down below, and make sure you hit subscribe if you want to see more videos just like this one. I will catch you all in the next one.